by and large, tariffs are good for us, and let me break it down. If politics were a video game and the president were a character you could play, tariffs would be your most powerful economic move. So what's a tariff? Basically a tax any business has to pay to bring goods into a country. The USA is uniquely a reasonably big country with a huge consumer class by global standards. So most every sizable company in the world needs to sell here. The argument against tariffs is that they just tax the U.S. consumer. If you say I have to pay $100 to bring my $100 widget over from China, I'll just charge $200 for it. But it doesn't always work that way. What tariffs can also do is encourage companies to avoid the extra charge by making things here in the U.S., or they can level the playing field for U.S. manufacturers who are getting crushed by cheap imports. So you can't just swallow these headlines that claim tariffs are just a tax on U.S. consumers. If tariffs always dramatically raise prices for consumers, why didn't that happen in 2018 and 2019? The truth is that the U.S. has been so focused on making it easy to import goods from other countries that we've made it reflexive for other countries to tariff U.S. products while we let overseas goods flood in, and tariffs can't stop that, Joe.
Well, that was fantastic, John. Thank you. That's John Ford.
There you go.
Yes.
All right, guys. So I'm going to share a little bit of a personal story here. And it is, I generally I have a rule. I try not to let fear control me and take over my life. And today is definitely a day that this rule is going to be put to the test. I'm going to tell you guys right now, I'm not worried. I'm not afraid. I'm not scared. But the media is a whole nother story. And unfortunately, there's some folks out there who are just now, like literally today, deciding to watch the news, deciding to read the news, deciding to allow themselves to be manipulated. And dog, will you come out here? Bro, come on. Ain't got all day. Come on. Make it happen. Today would be a terrible day to decide you want to watch MSNBC or CNN or any other woke news networks that are going to literally tell you the truth, which is odd. It's crazy. It's weird because they can actually get away with telling the truth today. They can tell you that the markets are dropping. They can tell you that, this is Black Monday. They can tell you that, Trump is breaking everything. And I just watched a little clip, and I'll show it to you guys here in just a second, of Maria on Fox News or Fox Business. And the tone in her voice as she shared this news, albeit bad news, unless you're trading options, unless you got some good options trades out there that you were banking on this to make money, because you can make money whether the market goes up or down. Speaking of which, I just posted on Patreon for everybody how to get started in trading stocks. People keep asking me, what am I using? How am I doing it? I bought more Tesla this morning. I'm buying it out of principle. And it went down in price again, and I'm dollar cost averaging. And when it comes back up, I'm going to make some good money.
The first rule, particularly for the smaller investors out there, you can't lose money unless you sell. And right now, the smart strategy is not to panic, just stay in, because we are going to have the biggest boom in the stock market we've ever seen under the Trump policies. We will find a bottom in this market quickly. We will hit 50,000 on the Dow easily by the end of this term.
So I put that up. Click the link down below. Go to patreon.com/truth47. Sign up for free. Join for free is what it says. You do not have to pay. The posts are free. The videos are free. If you want to select a tier to support, we greatly appreciate it. But you can get on there for free. I don't know how else I can say that. If I see a comment in the comment section that says, no, it's not free, you have to pay for every video, I'm going to block you from the channel, because you're not helping as I'm trying to do. I'm literally trying to help people get access to the information. That's it. That's my disclaimer. Now, let's get back to fear and Maria and Fox Business and what's happening in the markets and all the terrible news that we're going to hear for today and probably the next week or so. Here's the deal, folks. We knew this was going to happen. We voted for this. This is what we wanted. Hey, get out of there. Get out. Dog. This is what we wanted. This is what we asked for. This is part of the mandate, okay? How you guys like my new patio furniture? Thanks, Mom. My mom gave me a gift card for my birthday. So Michelle and I, we went to Lowe's and we picked up a couch, a coffee table, and these 2 rocking chairs and this end table here. And this is now our little outside space, but it actually is like my studio. So I can come out here and record and be, you know, I don't have to worry about my volume, nor do I have to worry about their volume in here watching. They're now on a Friends kick. They're binge watching Friends. And there's the clip I'm going to show you guys in just a second. Maria. But we asked for this. We knew this was coming. We knew this was happening. And we shouldn't be surprised. Now, here's the deal. I don't like to fly much. Not necessarily just because of Boeing or because of some of these woke airlines, but people are crazy. And a lot of these videos that I'm seeing on these airplanes, I don't want to be involved in it. A lot of the things that are happening at these airports, I don't want to be involved in it. I kind of want to stay away. I put up a new video on Patreon and on X. So you can check out both. If you feel reluctant to get on Patreon, you can jump on X. And I got videos over there as well. But there will definitely be more on Patreon. So, but, you know, you can bounce back and forth. And, you know, I'd say the more information you have, the better. That's how I feel about it. I just want to be better informed, better educated. But either way, I don't like to fly. But if I do have to, decide to, am forced to, you know, you get a little rough patch, you get a little bit of turbulence, questionable situations. And what I do is I always look to the flight attendants, the flight crew, the steward. I don't know if they still use that term, but I would always look to them. Yeah, got water. And see how they respond and react to certain situations. I look at their faces, I look at their eyes, and fortunately, I haven't been in a situation where I needed to brace for anything potentially life-threatening. But I would imagine that in their time in the air, in their experience, that if something bad was going to happen, they would know first and they would react, even in like the slightest change of their body language or their you know, facial expressions, or, you know, if you see them sit down and buckle up, you know, sometimes, well, actually, I might have been on a flight one time and they were like, oh, they started the meal service and they're like, oh, no, we got to stop. So, you know, that was kind of like a dead giveaway. I got to feed my dog real quick, so bear with me here, folks. But either way, I would use them as a gauge for essentially the amount or level of concern that I should have, or better yet, fear, in those situations. And that's how I kind of gauge it. That's how I judge it. Yeah. Yeah, it's like, even still, it's like in that moment, I asked for it. In that moment, I asked for it. I'm on the plane. I bought the ticket. I showed up. I'm there. Whatever happens after that, ain't nothing I can do about it. I just got to ride it out. So that's kind of where we are today. And with the tone and the mood and the language in which I hear Maria, she gives me the warm and fuzzy. She gives me the confidence to know that everything's going to be okay. Everything's all right. And I would say that she's probably going to be my flight crew. And if someone like her or someone like, there's some folks out there that are ride or die, okay? And if they start acting weird, if they start acting funny, if they start panicking, getting nervous, then maybe I'll consider making some changes. But for the most part, we're smooth sailing here, folks. It's going to be, we hit a little rough patch, but everything's going to be fine, if not better than it was before. And that's exactly why we're doing what we're doing.
That's what we've been pointing out this morning, and the president has been pointing it out. Rates are plummeting. Oil prices are plummeting. Deregulation is happening. We've got all of these things happening. President Trump is not going to bend. He told me, a number of times that he's trying to build the economy and make it independent as opposed to relying on China for things like prescription drugs.
Also, I'll show you one more clip.
There's not 1 ounce of good news to report. So as we're looking at the fallout from the president's, and we'll call it a trade war, the thought was maybe he will retrench, maybe he'll retreat, maybe there's negotiations happening with other countries. And if there are, it's not happening on a wide-scale basis, and the investment community isn't seeing it. When you're seeing futures down like this, it means there are no shoots, there are no ideas that anyone significant in the investment community thinks there's going to be a turnaround. And something that's really important to remember is loss of trust, okay? When countries cannot trust trade policies, when they can't trust rule of law, they pull back, they stop investing, and they know that their input costs, what it's going to cost them to operate, are going to skyrocket in this moment when we're facing these tariffs. Now, could things turn around? Could the president negotiate in the next week? Could things change? Maybe, but there is no concrete evidence or even hints of evidence that that's happening. For anyone, and I can tell you, I spent the morning talking to investors and people in corporate America C-suites, and they were glued to the Sunday shows watching any possible member of this administration who's speaking on behalf of the president give them a scintilla of hope that there's positive news here. And what did they watch? They watch the administration tap dancing. They watch the Commerce Secretary say things like, wait until all those people who screw in your iPhones, who put together cell phones, are working in the United States. That's a crazy thought. The idea that the administration is pushing, well, guess what? We're going to have tax cuts and deregulation. Well, those things didn't come first. The tariffs did. And when it comes to deregulation, what are you going to do? Get rid of worker protections and bring back sweatshops to the United States?
But I want to give the president time. That's where I'm at, and that's where Nebraskans are, too. To be able to give the president time. As you quoted what he had put up this morning, I agree with those points. We're seeing a decrease in oil prices. We're seeing food prices come down. Here in Congress, we are looking at spending cuts to get spending under control. We're looking at getting rid of a lot of regulations out there. All of that is part of this package. So when we wait for the president's tariffs to be able to have an impact on the unfair trade practices that we have seen against ag producers, against manufacturing here in America, we want to make sure that we're going to be addressing that. Right now, for example, ethanol. Nebraska is an ethanol state. Yep. We are the second largest producer. When we talk about ethanol, ethanol from Brazil comes in with no tariff right now. None. They pay zero. Yep. But yet when we export ethanol to Brazil, 18%. Those kinds of actions by other countries need to stop. Those are prohibitive for exports. We had an administration under Joe Biden that did nothing. They had no interest whatsoever in trade.
Well,
and we saw
right.
over $40 billion trade deficit.
Yep.
That has to stop.
On the idea of crashing the markets on purpose, there's been some speculation, partly because of the video that was posted on Truth Social, that there was some sort of deliberate effort on your part to have the market sell off. Can you talk about that?
No, there's such a problem that we have with China, with the European Union and other nations. And they're going to have to do that. And if they want to talk about that, I'm open to talking. But otherwise, why would I want to talk?
Is there a Trump put, though? Is there pain in the market at some point? You're unwilling to tolerate this idea of a Trump put? Is there a threshold?
I think your question is so stupid. I mean, I think it's I don't want anything to go down. But sometimes you have to take medicine to fix something.
These folks who want you afraid, want you scared, want you panicked, want you checking your 401k, want you worried about the stock market crashing, want you to regret your vote. These same people are manipulating these markets and taking advantage of these opportunities to capitalize on an increase in their own personal net worth. Believe that shit.
Politicians were selling off stock before the tariffs were announced. Senator Tommy Tuberville actually just sold up to $265,000 worth of stock and closed out his Apple position. You can get alerts on when they buy back in. Alerts come in shortly after the trades are made, so you can know what's going on before it hits the news.
The top 10% of Americans own 88% of equities, 88% of the stock market. The next 40% owns 12% of the stock market. The bottom 50 has debt. They have credit card bills, they rent their homes, they have auto loans, and we've got to give them some relief. We have President Trump's previous term when everyone said none of this was going to work. The China tariffs are going to do this, they're going to cause inflation. They didn't. Hourly workers did better than supervisory workers. The bottom 50% of households, their net worth increased faster than the top 10% of households. The top 10% of Americans own